Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first official episode of Ramblings of a Middle-Aged Card Collector. This is episode number 1, where we're going to be discussing Topps Marvel and everything that goes with it. My first guest is the well-known Matt Fuller, OCD Marvel Sketchcards. Hello, Matt.
Hey, we're using a very generous range with middle-aged.
Hey, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm middle-aged at heart.
There we are. We're all getting a little gray and a little pepper in here.
The ghost of your future.
Yeah. So thanks, everyone, for coming in and hanging out on a Thursday night with us while we go over this topic. It's very exciting. We've been seeing a lot of information and feelings being posted out there recently about people's personal experiences with how they're getting to interact with Topps, especially the EQL. So tonight I thought we'd bring on a friend and ask to chat, get some interactions between everybody live, and go through it. So with that, I think we'll go. We'll start off with the chat, see who's joined us to say hello. So we got Goom, super excited.
I just thought of your new intro.
Oh yeah, what is it, brother?
Let's get ready to ramble.
Oh, that's it. We gotta do something with it. I like it. All right, buddy Josh. Let's go, Matt. Great topic. Thank you.
Spicy. Uh-oh.
Yeah, spicy. Hot takes. Nice. Perna in the house.
Oh boy, lots of feet comments.
Do have chocolate. Hermit, what's up, brother? Very excited to be interviewed by him tomorrow night. I don't know when he'll be putting it out after editing, but make sure to go check out Across the Multiverse with Hermit Style. So very excited. Marino, so gang, it's good. Relics. Balls, thank you. All right, guys. Everyone's in here chat. Very exciting. And I hope you stay because we will be asking questions at some point through the stream. That'll be generally to Matt, but feel free to throw your opinions in, like if I was asking you personally. All right. So, Matt, I did write down a bunch of questions. We're going to try to get through them and see how this goes.
Ready for the interview.
Word. All right. Thank you again for coming on. I appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.
So, Matt, let's start at the beginning. When did you first get into collecting cards, and what originally brought you to it?
I mean, originally cards was back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was originally with cards, I was an autograph collector. I started out Star Wars, a ton of the Harry Potter. I've still got 2 of my compilations. Game of Thrones set. But I just loved the active interaction with cards. And then fast forward to 2010 or so, I opened my first box of Lord of the Rings Masterpieces 2 and with a sketch card and turned that way.
I feel you on that.
So yeah, I've been in cards for a long time. I've been a collector since I was a kid. My father passed on.
I feel you.
I started with rocks, a rock polisher, and then coins, and then.
Okay, I think your mic might be picking in and out.
Let's go to. Yep. Thank you, Pastor.
Gotcha. So the his mic is actually wonky. Thanks for joining.
There we go. How's that? Real text.
Super clear.
Again, Kasra is my savior because it changes every time I go on a new stream. It drives me crazy. And the worst part is I have this sticker on my camera telling me to check the setting. And I still
That's funny, brother. So I don't know how much was picked up by everyone in the group, but I heard most of it. As a child, your father passed it on to you, the collecting bug. You were into Lord of the Rings, Adventure Time.
Still love Lord of the Rings, but Marvel's the
see
big dog.
most of your sketches.
I got a couple. Yeah.
Nice. All right. So with your history and knowledge and experience with your sets, Topps Marvel having the license and now releasing a few sets. And we did see the next set I believe we're going to get is the sticker set, 1975 stickers. You were able to pre-order that the day before the Mint came out, I believe. If anything, what initially excited you about Topps getting the Marvel license?
I think I was wary from day one, to be totally frank, just from hearing from, with my focus on sketches, I had heard horror stories from artists on Star Wars, on how they were limited, on how they could only draw specific scenes over and over and couldn't use creativity at some point. So as a sketch collector, I was pretty sure it was going to be doom and gloom from the get-go.
Okay.
And as far as that insert goes, I think that's the case.
I actually have a question coming up on that.
They do some things well. I mean, the quality seems good, and they know how to market the heck out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. The EQL system. So this was something, this is a big topic for everybody. I've personally experienced it 5 times now. All 5 times I've been denied. I have seen some of our friends hit the lottery. I have. I'm super happy for them. But I think as a whole, the experience we're having with this scarcity at retail price, distribution, and this EQL lottery itself is just, it seems like collecting Marvel cards right now, current new sets that are coming out, seems almost unattainable.
No, I mean, I would draw parallels on this. This reminds me of, again, age myself, when I was a teenager and you wanted concert tickets. You would go, it was Ticketmaster at the time, but there was no online ordering. You literally had to go, you would camp out the night before at a store, usually like Strawberries was one of the big chains in our area. But you'd camp out before and you'd get in there and you'd try to buy your tickets from the guy at the counter. And at some point, you'd spend all night there. You'd be third in line. And by the time you got up there, the show was sold out because scalpers had all the ins. And this feels very much like that. It's just, you're going to beat your head against the wall and, hope you get something. And most of the time you won't. And that's because they save the vast majority of their inventory for the breakers.
Yes. And that's a point a lot of people seem to be bringing up. It's insane to say there's only a certain amount of product at retail release, and then you can go on Whatnot that night or the day after or continuous days and see breakers breaking case upon case, sometimes 6 case breaks or even higher. And it's like, well, wait a minute, how come 11 of my friends or more and I have all been denied a possibility to get, maybe I want to get a case, and I'll call 5 of my friends, be like, I got a case, want 5? Well, let's all get boxes. You know what I mean? But it seems like that's not a possibility anymore. It's almost like a dangle of the fruit to hype out the product even more with FOMO, to where then you have to, like as I mentioned in the post earlier, you only have 3 lousy options. And that's to gamble with a breaker, pay crazy second market prices, or go hunt store to store, whether it's Barnes and Noble, GameStop, Walmart, Target, surrounding towns and counties to see if you can find that stray blaster like hiding on a shelf. It's
see if you can beat the 20 local scalpers who are doing the same thing too.
Correct. Right? Yeah. It's insane. And obviously they know when restocks are. And I did speak to somebody at GameStop who I've just over the years, dealing with games and stuff. When I saw them at the store, they actually had 4 boxes. but those were the last 4 blaster boxes out of the initial 10 they got, and they were not expecting to get more. And the way he explained it, he goes, "No, it's just the initial release. We get 2 hobby boxes." It was 10 to 12 blasters, and that was all they were expecting on all of their sheets. And if it did come in, it would trickle in. So it was like, as a collector, you're like, that's not any kind of constellation that I want to keep going. And what bothered me the most is that when I went into GameStop, they sold me to get the Game Pass because it will knock off some points. Yeah, that's a great option if the product is steadily coming in,
Right.
not randomly, because so I was like, oh, that's kind of a negative, but I had to, touch the oven to know it was hot. So this has been a fun experience. And yeah.
I mean, I've been in corporate my whole life, so I get why it makes financial sense for them to do it, right? You want to make sure you have channels to take big chunks of inventory and all the inventory, right? Some sets potentially won't be so hot, right? And if you've got someone who, hey, you want the Marvel? That's fine. You get to take this wrestling. You got to take this set. You get to take everything we offer in order to stay in this channel. Makes perfect sense, right? If you give half your inventory every time to retail and you have a dud set, you won't make your money. Although I can't imagine any set not selling out these days. Let's be honest. Everything seems to just fly out of the window.
Yeah. Now, Hermit's point, he doesn't mind the EQL online drop because initially they were supposed to stop scalping. And that's what they are generally supposed to be for. But if you only provide X amount of product for the EQL drop and allocate the rest for, like we saw Dave and Adams all of a sudden had a huge amount of stock. Breakers are having huge amounts of stock. So it's kind of, the EQL is kind of a negative at this point because, yeah, it's helping against bots and scalpers, but it's too hard of a system. They need to, I don't know, make the odds a little better in favor for the collector.
The other interesting thing is I feel like when I say we, right, let's call us the pre-Tops Marvel collectors, we're so used to being such a big piece of the market that we can say, oh, well, my 10 friends and I didn't get any, so something's wrong. But I think the unfortunate fact is now we might be only 10% of the market because everybody from Tops has come over and they're probably used to going on every EQL because they know I just got to gamble. And if I hit it, I'm going to make money. I'm going to be able to flip it. So we may have 20 times the competition that we had before for these EQL drops. So it is going to get harder and harder.
Yeah. And here's a good one for you. Do you feel like Tops understands collectors, or are they catering more to breakers and flippers?
I mean, the question is, how do you define collectors? And I think that's where some of the pain comes. Because again, those of us, the pre-Tops collectors, a lot of times, and I've done this myself, so I'm not blaming anyone. A lot of times we do tend to gatekeep a little bit in that we think of ourselves as, sometimes use the words, true collectors. But the fact is that all of Tops customers are collectors on some level. Even if they flip, I mean, they're a lowercase collector, we'd probably say, rather than, building up a collection. But I think Tops understands lowercase collectors, which makes them all their money. As far as those of us who really want to put together binders and character collect, no, they don't get that at all. For
sure. And I agree. And wondering, Bill, how many Tops sets do we think we'll get yearly? That's a great question. As of right now, it's insane how you'll just log on one day to a Facebook group and someone will be like, oh yeah, 12 p.m. tomorrow, there's a pre-order for this set. And you're like, I didn't even know about it. So It's kind of very quiet and inclusive to when sets are dropping, to the public at least. So I wouldn't even figure it. But what's this, the third set for 2025 so far?
Yeah, I think so.
if not, the stickers will be 1975 stickers. So that would definitely be the third one. That's a great question.
I mean, I would probably say look at Star Wars at its peak, and they'll probably put out more, right? Just because now they have Fanatics channel, whatnot, so much bigger. So I think there'll be a lot.
Yeah. Still motion cards. What's up? It was rough hearing how hard it was for collectors at STC to get their hands on mint, and then hopping on whatnot 2 nights later and seeing breakers selling like cases of them. Yeah, that hurt too. I was already having FOMO for not going to STC and getting those. That eased a little bit because I read a few comments for some friends in the groups who were saying their experience was kind of hectic, not smooth, aggravating. Not at SDCC, but with the Topps Marvel situation to get the 1 box per day or whatever of the exclusive. And then look at it. That exclusive was $100 per box. The exclusive has the Doom cut. And what other was the exclusive for that, for the SDCC?
There was...
It was a good
was
one.
there one of the inserts, like a certain color? I don't even remember, to be honest.
There was some pretty good exclusives, and now you get the hobby, which I guess you could say, you know, I was ignorant about to the fact of I was assuming since it was a hobby layout, there was going to be like packs in that box, and I didn't even notice because of the way they didn't print like the way the box showed or the layout of a checklist or anything. And I was like, I tried to get 4 of those boxes, and then come to find out it's the same layout as the SDCC.
Yep. 1
pack, okay, 1 encapsulated card, but that's insane for what the price points are. Soon as you weren't able to get the EQL, so right now they're sitting at what $699.95 on Dave and Adams, and who knows on what on eBay. So it's or where it's going to go from there. So I'm kind of happy that was a miss, because I would have been upset if I spent that amount of money and ended up with a dud box.
Yeah, I don't think anyone actually got, like you said, there was a limit at SDCC, and I know some people just, I know, you know, one of our friends, Alonzo, I know he was on eBay for like 3 straight days, and he bought every box he could get.
Right.
In the secondary market, and then he took those to whatnot. So
yep.
I don't think anyone had any sort of backdoor deals, which is, you know, at least good. They stuck to their guns there. But yeah, and it's just these prices. It's rough. It's rough for collectors. I feel sorry for people still character collecting. I closed the door on that, and I couldn't be happier.
I agree. Sadly, I did after Chrome. I tried to take part in the man things, and I was like, there's way too many parallels. I literally have the printing plate from the art they used from Beginnings. So I'm like, I kind of already rainbowed this previously, and I'm kind of rainbowing it again. And that literally was it. I was like, you know what, I'm done. I'm kind of done with this. I spent a lot of money on breaks to get cards that I probably could have just waited a little bit on ComC or eBay and got good prices just to where everything calmed down a little bit. But again, it was that FOMO. So definitely you live and you learn, and I won't be participating with those character breaks unless now I don't want to put my foot in my mouth and say that an legit original art set doesn't come out, then I wouldn't take part in collecting my PC man thing. But I'm not seeing an OA set. I don't know when we're going to get OA set. And with that said, when do you think we'll get an OA set? And since you know of Star Wars, it's going to be the Masterworks format. Is that correct?
That's usually the brand, yes.
Okay.
Although they could potentially do a physical version of, what is it? No, because they've used some OA in the digital Topps Chrome, right? They use some Abella's pieces for the digital. So they could always potentially reuse those as well for physical. But yeah, I think Masterwork is the big one.
Okay. I agree. Yeah, the Topps, was that Topps Collect, the app? I was getting into that for a little while, feeling just missing EPAC with Marvel. So I started getting into that. And after spending, I don't know, like 30, 35 bucks, I was like, what's the point of this? Like, I'm not getting anything out of it. I could even see if the achievements that you get after hitting all the cards in a grouping, that should be a physical card. Like, if you wanted to go that far, like at least just that, like any of the achievements that you hit, those should be like a physical card layout. But yeah, that kind of burned me too.
I mean, and the big problem is, as much as you don't want to admit it, an app like that, eventually it will be sunset and everything you have will be gone. That's just the way of apps like that.
Yeah.
They don't keep them going forever. So
no, they got to pay for those servers, those farms to just sit there and hold that information, and it's going to go somewhere. It's not even downloadable. So, and what's crazy too on that side fact, but I've seen people selling their digital cards on eBay. And I'm like, how's that going to work?
That was a bit of a head scratcher for me, but
yeah, it's almost like NFTs again. Be
I
careful.
actually, for Ryan's question, I don't know if Masterwork is one artist or not, to be quite honest with you, because I wasn't collecting Star Wars at that time.
It is a good question.
I can't see them doing that. But to your question on how long do I think it'll be, I bet it'll be 2026, right? They probably didn't start soliciting artists until they were, you want to make sure you're at like 98% done on the deal, right? Because you don't want to contract someone and then the deal falls through. So given the lead time, unless I think they could recycle some of their digital original art quicker if they wanted to, but for a truly all original art set, I think it'd be sometime next year. My own guess.
All right, so everyone in the chat, I just want you to do pound ramble on, and you'll be entered in for the giveaways tonight. And we're going to run about 4 or 5 of them to
all one word, right?
Yeah, all one word, and that'll be fun.
Giveaway time.
Giveaways.
And then just, you can obviously on your side, since I can't see it, just confirm that you see the number going up.
Oh, yep.
Excellent.
Let me do share screen.
Giveaways are always fun.
Oh yeah. Giveaway tool. Share. Yeah, so far we got 13 entries.
How many people?
13. We got 18 in the live chat, 19 in the live chat. So awesome. And that's ramble on. All right, so we'll continue with some questions. So Matt, known for the love of sketches that you have, in my opinion, sketch cards are one of the crown jewels of the Marvel card hobby. What's changed under the Topps management of the license? And do you think the thrill of pack-pulled sketches might be something of the past?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, first of all, what's changed is fewer artists, fewer cards per artist, and no APs, right? That's the big 3 right there. In theory, they say they're only doing what they consider the best artists, and by doing low counts, the quality should go up. That remains to be seen. But because that impacts artists, I don't particularly like that. I like when so because that's rarity, right? And that's what it drives. So when you have now a rare insert, especially when they put a 1-of-1 stamp on the sketch, it just, you get the people from the other hobbies who Topps has trained to gamble. They have, we talked about this a little beforehand. There's no other way around it. It's gambling, and theirs, like EPAC certainly had it. Don't get me wrong, that was dangerous, but I feel like the breaking model that's there now is potentially worse. For people, for someone who's susceptible to that, it could be a really bad thing. So, yeah, I don't think. So those are the big changes. But yeah, the forced scarcity. I mean, sketch cards already were unique, so they didn't need the 1-of-1 stamp, and it's a money grab. And some of the prices, I mean, I see sketches from artists who I may have 10 of their sketches, and nothing wrong with this. They're $100 artist, and their sketches are being put on eBay for $2,500, $3,000.
Yeah.
And I mean, there are a lot. I love the artist, but no chance in hell I'm paying that much for one of their sketches. Sorry.
Yeah, totally agree.
When I know I could pay them double for what their AP rate is and still save a ton of money, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather give that directly to them. But now I can't, for me, who wants officially licensed stock. I can certainly do it for personal sketch stock, and I think that's really going to be where the needle starts to move at some point, to scratch that artist itch.
Yeah, I totally agree. I've been just focusing on commissions, trying to grab whatever AP stocks I can find, and whittling away artist lists that I've been wanting to get, regardless of if they were on the set or not. To me, it's still an official stock, and it's an artist that I want to put on it. Now, to me, if I know the artist wasn't on the set, I'm okay with that. I'm not reselling a Man-Thing sketch that I'm putting in my personal collection. So,
I would suspect Topps will have the license longer. Given their money, I bet they both decided to go for a big deal, and I'd be willing. If I had to guess, if I had to put money on it, I would say 5-year initial term and 2 3-year extensions if both parties agree. That would be my guess.
Crazy. Fanatics has the money.
Yeah. And, I'm sure Disney jacked up their rates, and quite frankly, Fanatics was the only one who could probably pay them anyways. So, because to make the minimum guarantees, because typically my experience with Disney, I've done a contract with Disney with the company, and typically they have minimum guarantees. So you're going to get the license, and every year, regardless of how many sets you put out, you have to pay an X amount. And it could be, I had one that was for a game, it was $200,000 a year. I'm sure for the Marvel license, it could be $5-10 million guarantee a year. That's probably too much. Let's say $2 million a year. So in order to, and then a percent of anything of sales as well, a kicker. And then you've got to meet that. So it might be 10% of sales with a $2 million floor. So to get that, you need a company like Fanatics who can keep cranking out the sets and making that money, because that's the only way they're going to be profitable. So again, the whole model needs this churning and recycling of sets that they're doing. So there's almost no choice.
Well said. All right, with that, we'll run our first giveaway. There's 17 people on. There's 15 people in the entry. So we will give it 5 more seconds. We'll do a good 5-second.
You just want to present it so everybody can see it.
Oh, yeah. So we're going to do the 616 cards. These were promo packs. So we got Invisible Woman. Sorry for the glare. This one is Gore, the God Butcher, but they just put Gore. And where's
Aaron just put #Ramble on, all one word, to get in. And then Matt, you're going to want to present the screen so they can see the drawing.
And Webhead. So we're going to do 3 of these 616 giveaways, and we're going to do 2 of the 616 giveaways with 3 cards in each. All right. So I'm going to share the giveaway. All right.
And lost absolutely to your aunt's question.
Good luck, everybody.
We can't see it yet.
Hold on. Where'd it go? Let me make sure I'm doing that correctly. This one.
And then once you present it, you might have to click on it to add it to stage 2.
View tab. Why did it do that one? It did the other one for some reason. Apologies on this. I've never did this before. Share screen. Giveaway tool. View tab on StreamYard. Add to stage. There we go. Can everyone see it now?
Yep.
All right. So it's a full entry. 18 people watching, 18 people in the entries. Good luck, everybody.
And good news, I haven't seen Armando, so you have a chance.
Game Day Legends. All right, man. Awesome.
In fact, I think Game Day said new to the channel earlier.
That's awesome.
So that's cool.
That's
Even
awesome.
if it's not, that's cool. But oh yeah, hello from Texas, new to the channel. Well, welcome. You just got some cards.
Yeah. Thank you very much. My Instagram is the same name. Just reach out to me there, message me, and we'll exchange info, and I will send that your way. Thank you all for entering the giveaway. All right, Matt. So I'm going to keep on moving on with these questions I got here. All right. So some in the community, and I included, criticized sets for the lack of OA. In your opinion, how important is fresh artwork and creative effort in the collector's experience?
I like OA. I no shock there, right? You just see the walls. I think it's super, super important. It for a whole bunch of reasons. It keeps it fresh. Like, you want new takes of your characters. You don't want to, and it shows effort. I think that's even more important to me, because it shows that they care about the product, because they want to provide something brand new to the collectors. And it's work, right? It's money, but it also just takes a lot of work to get all that in place. Like, we know just the organization, if you're doing different artists, takes a lot of time. So I feel like not doing it is just lazy. I think doing all recycled is just lazy. And I think not even taking the time to see if the existing art you're using was used by the last company, I think that's even lazier.
Right.
So
yeah, I totally agree. Especially, like I said, I'm pulling cards, spending some money in breaks, and I literally have 2 of the printing plates from beginnings of the same art they used in the card. So it's when I gave up. And then Sapphire was something I was thinking about, and then I saw it's literally the same exact art, just with different refractor backgrounds, and I was like, oh goodness gracious, I'm out on these. So yeah, I totally agree with you. That was very well said. OA is very important, and it's important to the artists. We got to pay these people. They're amazing. They do an amazing work. Takes a lot of time to do what they do, and they're the ones who should be making most of the money.
And it is, for those of us who like sketches, it's sort of a cycle, right? When you get these artists who are working on the cards, they're more likely to do sketch cards as well, and just kind of keeps that ecosystem going. You take that away, and now it's harder for artists to get a job at Topps to do sketch cards. It's messing the whole ecosystem that we've been a part of for years and years.
No, it's very true. All right, this one's for you, and this is kind of a positive one. So, yeah. What would a dream Marvel set look like to you? Something that would bring the magic back from your youth.
I mean, outside of the OA, I would love, like, my heart's in the Bronze Age, right? Okay. Like the early to mid 80s. So I would love a Bronze Age themed set, specifically with artists who can do the OA featuring the costumes from the time, focusing on the storylines from the time, and really just recapturing that era. So for me, that would be my ideal set.
I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, that's a great era too. You know, I mean, those are the comic books that I would kind of see as I would go into the comic book shop as a youngin', not necessarily new comics, but they'd be on the turntables, or they'd be the readers where you could just pick them up and read them and they wouldn't bother you about it. You know, it was that's pretty cool. I like that idea a lot. Awesome answer, brother.
Ernest says all Danny said.
Oh, Danny said, yeah, there you go.
I had always hoped they would do a New Mutants movie set, but alas.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's a cool idea.
I'm one of the 7 people in the world that like the movie, though.
I like that movie. I thought they nailed magic.
Yeah.
You know, it was very cool to see. I liked it a lot. So has the Marvel card hobby under tops become too expensive to enjoy casually?
Well, it remains to be seen, right? I think once Sapphire's done and the current Chrome is in the rearview mirror, it's all going to depend on the secondary market, right? We're very used to, the pre-tops collectors, we were used to being able to wait, and then you go to ComC and you can put together a set for a reasonable price. You're not going to get all the variants, but you can put together a nice binder set and chase characters and do it much more cost efficiently if you're patient. So if that happens with these sets, I think it could maintain some level of interest from the pre-tops collectors. But if prices only go down a little and no one's, there is no sort of, I don't want to say race to the bottom, but no sort of equalization of prices to some level of normalcy. Okay. Yeah, then I think it's going to kill it for the quote unquote casual collector.
Oh, thanks for making it, brother. Yeah, it was a great answer, man. I totally agree. So with that said, where's the tipping point between passion and pain with these breaks?
Wow. Different for everyone, right? Assuming everyone's doing it the way they should, it's all about your budget, right? And you get to that point where you're bidding on, like, in a lot of, let's be honest, like, you have to do breaks right now if you want them. That's really the only way. So there's a lot of times, and I think Bill made a great point, right? Because he saw one of his one-of-ones go for a ridiculous price. When you're watching the break and you're like, okay, I can go up to $60, and then you watch it rocket to $200, you're almost priced out of your own character in some cases. And that's a tough moment right there. That's when the pain kicks in. And then there's that whole, come to Jesus moment. It's like, okay, do I continue there? Or, all right, do I pivot? Maybe, I like a different character who's not as crazy, right? Like, I've been collecting Dupe a little bit, for example. So maybe that's a more reasonable one, assuming he ever makes it into a top set. But the key is you have to be willing to do the work to figure out how to do it, and being a little more focused in how you collect. Again, hopefully waiting for that price drop where you can get things that are reasonable. I think the important part, though, is, and you mentioned it with the pain, the important part is if you can't afford it at the time, don't do it. Don't say, oh, well, it's just this once. No, stick to your guns and make sure you're, spending your money responsibly. We saw plenty of people in e-packs get wrecked by spending too much. And I worry that we're going to see a lot more of that with the whole streaming model. So.
Yeah, I agree. It's very tempting. We were kind of talking about it before we went on stream, to where, especially if you're coming new into the hobby or coming back into it at this time, it is very tempting, especially if, like, you're watching breaks on YouTube or maybe IG Live. It's kind of hard now if you don't have 1,000 followers. But if you do that and you're used to, like, the cool experience of watching someone do it, and you're like, yeah, I'll take part of it. You join, and then you start, spending some money. It's real easy to keep bidding and then keep going for a second character. It can get, especially like you said, for some reason, characters are getting bid up so high against everyone who's couldn't get the product. So now everyone wants in on a break. and you got the FOMO, the scarcity that's out there. So everyone's joining in. And next thing you know, come Monday, when your statement, collects from the weekend, you're like, whoa, how did did I really spend that much? Well, yeah, there's fees, there's shipping, there's taxes. So it's like, oh yeah, especially, unfortunately, I've heard some breakers who lived in Canada who happened to purchase breaks in America had to pay crazy fees and or tariffs on top just to get their cards. So it's a very not stable market right now. It's very fun to take part in, especially when you can smoke or drink, play music, and not get hit for the stream taken down. It's fun. People hang out. Maybe you're a little lit yourself and you're having a good time. But again, it's exactly what you said. It's gambling. It's exactly what it is.
Hermit talking a little trash in chat.
It's gonna pop soon, or if we'll just continue as it has. I don't know, man.
I think it's going to come down to the overall market. Like if we end up in a recession, I would think so. But you never know. I mean, some of the people who spend here, clearly they have a lot of disposable income, or they're willing to gamble on their statement because they think they can flip it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, it's I personally went through it myself with this Chrome 2025 and Man Thing. I kept going in, not thinking anything of it. Oh yeah, I'm fine. And the next thing I know, I was like, oh geez, I wanted the commission. Now I gotta pay this before I get it. So again, it kind of, just be careful, everybody. Be mindful. We're all adults, hopefully, who's taking part in that. So let's just make sure we're doing it responsibly. Oh, I know you do. I knew it.
He's got 10 alts he bids on.
That's funny to say. If you could give Tops one piece of advice from a collector's perspective, what would it be?
From a collector's perspective, not mine. Okay. Figure out a way to get more into the hands of collectors, like more on the lottery or more retail stuff out there. Just figure out a way to let people participate without having to go through this horrible process. Even if it's a special retail, even I was going to say just like a simple base only set for binder collectors, but even that, scalpers would take them and run them up. Like, who are we kidding? I don't know. Figure out a way that people can enjoy without getting crushed. I don't know. I don't have the answer though. That's the problem.
Yeah. So now, in your own words and opinion, what would your advice be that differs from what you just said?
I more OA and sketches, right? I want to see the artist community thrive. And, thankfully, Upper Deck still has some DC sets. So a lot of the artists we've all come to know and love have been able to pivot over there. But without Marvel, I mean, that's a significant hit to a lot of artists. So I would love for them to do a little more there. They're never going to bring back APs, but that would be one of my wish list, just because that was such a way to help enrich artists and give them a little more. I don't know what the new rates are, so maybe it makes more sense now. But if you're only doing 10 cards, getting paid more per card, I can't see it winning out over the old AP model. So we got an awesome question by HT Spit Crew. Do you think it's reasonable that pack pulled sketches from Tops demand a premium compared to the work a same artist may have done with Upper Deck? Yeah, and we touched on that a little earlier. So my answer as a longtime sketch collector is no. If I can buy 10 sketches from Tony Perna since he's here for I think Perna's rate's like $17 each right now. So if I can get $17 each for him, that's Canadian, by the way. Why would I pay $3,000 for one that the only difference is it's on a different company's stock, right? So no. Will other people do that? Yeah, and we've already seen that people who have come over again from the legacy top side, whether it's Star Wars, sports, whatever it is.
Sports, man.
They've been so trained to just pay for rarity that, you know, there are some of those cards selling at those rates. So, I mean, if they're selling, people would be crazy not to charge the prices. Do I think it's silly from my perspective? Yeah, but you know, hey, free market, carpe diem. Carpe diem. Caveat emptor. Caveat emptor. I got
There you go. There you go.
Buyer beware.
Look at Donnie trying to tell everyone DC sucks so no one pulls his PCs.
Oh. Perna pesos. There you go, Donnie.
So we may have touched this a little bit, but where do you see the Marvel card hobby going in the next 5 years?
It really depends what part of the cards you collect, right? I think the base cards, I think people are going to have to figure out how to value shop and how to potentially change the way they collect if they want to participate. Or they need to pivot, you know, to DC or to some independent sets, which is something I'll bring up at some point because that's something I've started to do finally.
Wow.
For comic cut collectors, you're doomed, literally, because using the Doom example, because they're rarer now. They're labeling each as a one of one. And people are just buying in. Like the prices on those Doom cuts are just insane, and they're selling at those prices. So, yeah, that market, you know, you really got to look at. I think finding unicorns going to be your source for those now at reasonable prices, or just going back in time. And that's the beauty. There are so many cuts still existing out there on ePack and just in all the markets that you can still enjoy cuts from older sets without breaking the bank. And on sketches, it's similar to cuts, right? That you're going to have to do one of two things. If you want them on licensed stock, you're going to have to, realistically, you're not going to want to fight for the new ones. You're going to have to go back in time. And, you know, there's tens of thousands on eBay. So it's not like there isn't a market. There are people who will trade and have old stuff. Or you need to get over, like I need to do, the licensed card stock and move more towards like a blank artist stock, like Miles, right?
Nice.
I couldn't get one, so, you know, get a personal sketch directly from him. You're supporting the artist, and that's another way to collect. And that ties into that question a couple minutes ago about, you know, paying for the artist 10 times the price. No, pay the more reasonable price and pay it directly to the artist. That for me is the better way to do it.
That was a very nice little sneak you added in there with an amazing Spider-Man Miles Wolf catch you got there.
Yeah, right? Just happen to have it sitting here.
I was just like, oh yeah.
And the other thing, since I don't know if one of the questions will come up about it, another thing to do is support the artists who do the work on the independent sets. Right? Perna's here. Perna has been putting out amazing independent sets for ages, you know. Kokonakis Achilles, he has his own Iconic Creations company, and he does a lot of indie work. There's a newer one in the Philippines that Edward Santia is doing, EGS Studios. They just came out with a Gals and Zombies set that has 30, 40, maybe 50 all Filipino artists, all names we know and love. So it's a way to continue to get art from them and support them. And I've finally ripped the Band-Aid and I'm going to the indies. And Perna, I'll just show you this pickup. This one's for you.
Oh, wow.
This is Odin's Two Crows.
Oh, what did I do there?
And let me see if it'll focus. And it's got gold leaf on it. It's just amazing.
Oh, wow, man.
Yeah. So there's tons and tons of beautiful cards from all these indie sets And it's definitely worth looking into if you need to scratch the art itch, but don't want to pay $2,500 for a sketch card.
Yeah, right.
No, Tony, this one is MIG something something. It's like signed in the thinnest little ink line right there. But if with the MIG, you probably know who it is.
That's nice. Yeah, I jumped in on the mythology set of Perna's. It was very nice. Amazing. I had I think I put it in my hit spot, but I hit an awesome sketch by Victaros.
Oh, yes. Oliver. Yeah. He
does such fire. It was like a demon in hellfire. And I was like, wow, that looks really good.
There you go. Thank you, Tony Mizumel.
Justin saying, longing for Up the Deck reminds me of my wife longing for the beach vacation. She forgets the heat, sand, stress of losing kids in the water, heavy traffic, long waits at the restaurant.
Yeah, it's almost like we miss the idea of Upper Deck, rather than Upper Deck itself.
QC issues.
Yeah, yay, event corners.
Roller marks and medallions.
Oh man.
And I know you just touched on this before, but one of the biggest topics that I saw that kind of irked me, and it wasn't obviously the sketch one of one labeling. I mean, that really I didn't understand the impact that it actually would have with sports collectors or the Star Wars. And then on top of it, to find out that now comic cuts are one of ones because they're from one page. It's not like they took multiple cuts from a page.
Yeah.
So it's like, that kind of stinks because I've got plenty of cuts, but they're 1 out of 40, maybe 1 out of 10s. You know what I mean? Like they're not one of ones. So now, like you said, this markup value for second market or someone who's looking at it, and I mean, it could be a cut of anything, and all of a sudden it's $999 on eBay or best offer, and they're not going to take anything less than $5. And it's like, this is crazy. It's a crazy time.
I think if you've collected cuts for a while, eventually you come to the point where you realize the number makes no difference, right? It's an interesting data point to know how many cuts they took from a certain issue. That's it. I have never paid more for a cut that's, out of 20 versus a cut that's out of 50, right? That doesn't matter to me. To me, it's about what's the issue, what's the framing of the cut, does it tell a story or scratch some nostalgia itch? It's got to have that.
Aaron Johnson's asking, how much of a difference, in your guys' opinion, between Upper Deck Premier and Topps Mint or Gems? I wasn't around really for those sets.
Well, this is very, very similar to Gems, right? With the 1-pack model, and the bonus, right, where you get frosted. Premier was a little bit different because it had the 1-pack, but it was loaded with sketches, right? You would get a sketch in the pack and you would get the case topper sketch. So it's hard to compare it to that. I mean, it's the same numbering. It's same, you got a pack plus 1, but a little different just because the sketch was the focus of it. But yeah, I think it's pretty comparable to Gems in terms of structure.
I agree. And I'd probably add that I'd probably want the worst insert hit you could get in Mint over a frosted horrible character.
I got double frosted at the first OAX. That was rough.
That's rough. That's rough.
For especially given those prices. Oh boy,
yeah, exactly.
Rough night.
I love Gems though. Gems was a beautiful.
It was definitely a fun set.
Yeah.
I think that's why Dan Dos Santos felt sad for me. So at like 1 a.m. he drew me a Storm sketch card. So I won out in the end.
Pity me, pity. Donnie asks, do you think sets from overseas like Cacao and Finding Unicorn will start to have an uprise?
I think the interest in them certainly will. We need a better distribution channel, right? Because we only get scraps of it with a couple sellers who sell on eBay, right? I think I know there are some Chinese apps for marketplaces that have a lot of them. I actually tried to install one and do the translate, and I just couldn't figure it out. And then I would have had to set up a Chinese drop shipper. I was like, the effort's just not there.
Yeah, or the risk. They're probably stealing your data.
Yeah, they have, but yeah, there's Finding Unicorn does some good stuff. They pick some interesting issues to use. They do seem a little random. Like I feel like they were like, go buy 20 comics, and some guy ran to the local store and just grabbed 20 random comics. It was like, oh, it's Submariner number 17. What? Why?
Wow.
So, but again, it's comiccuts and at a reasonable price. So,
great point and good question. I very much liked Finding Unicorns, Guardians of the Galaxy set sketches that came out of it. Some artists were nailing it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he's still doing it, but Jeff Benitez was the art director for those. And they definitely put together a really nice roster of artists and some good sketches.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Is it possible to have 100? What was that? 107?
I think Justin mentioned that he bought right here. Purchased 157 binders of non-sports cards that are not Marvel.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, of course. I mean, Justin's got a reason for that. So.
Yes. Good luck, my friend, on your new endeavors. That's an amazing news.
Like that's almost worth flying down for the
grand
opening, right? Like I think Justin, if you put together an event, I think you get some people.
I'd be down, man. Support a friend in the community. That's a beautiful thing. All right, so for someone new to the hobby or a returning collector, what would you tell them to watch out for, and what would you recommend them to embrace?
My overall recommendation for a new collector would be run away. What would they look out for? We've touched on it before. Overspending. It wrecks my nerves thinking about the overspending. Like I work for my company. We used to make games. Now we do software to help other people make games. But we would always talk about the whole downside and risk to the consumers about the whole gotcha model for free-to-play games, right? Where you could just, it's only 99 cents. It's only this. And it feeds that whole dopamine loop. And cards are very much the same. And you almost need a director of ethics at Topps who's sort of watching that to say, are we going too far in this? Are we more like a DraftKings at this point than a card company?
I
think that's the risk. So the risk is, the warning is, be very careful and stick to your budget. As far as what was second part?
And what would you tell them to embrace?
Embrace the community.
Beautiful.
Get into some Facebook groups, make an Insta account and integrate with people there. Come outside of your shell and be willing to jump onto a video like this and get yourself out there. I still remember my first video. I was totally nervous about jumping on. I still remember one of the first jokes I made was, I've got a face made for radio and a voice made for silent films. But I gave it a shot, and now you guys can't shut me up. So it's very addictive. And then meet up with people too. Come to OAX, go to conventions, talk to people in your area and have meetups. The people are what's going to keep the Marvel community that we had pre-Topps alive through those connections.
Nice. That was great. I like that, Matt. Everyone, do pound Ramble on again. I had to reset the giveaway tool.
More gimmies.
Pound Ramble on. All right. Now what do we got?
And then if I win, I'm going to roll it in with another giveaway from me, and we'll read it. So if I win, it's going to be like a double bonus for someone.
Wow. Those are some good odds.
Something sitting in here. Give away my Punisher paint. No.
Fire! That's awesome.
All right.
So with all of the turbulence and frustrations, what keeps you coming back to the hobby despite all of it?
I mean, it's the same. It's the people. It really is. It's the connections I've made. There's really no comparison. That's far and away the number one reason. Beyond that, just on the cards itself, it's nostalgia, right? If Topps can do something that scratches my nostalgia itch, I'll be interested. I'll probably only be interested in a deep secondary market long time after the set comes out. But that's the way they get back somebody like me. So
okay. And is there a last straw for you, or do you think you'll always be collecting in some form no matter what?
Yeah, I think other than like, the entire economy collapses and you gotta eat the cards for protein.
Burn them for heat.
Yeah, I can't see me getting out until it's at some point I feel like it's gonna make sense to, right? You're gonna hit some age where it's like, okay, either I'm just gonna wait till I croak and then my kids have to deal with it, or I can do it smartly now over an extended period of time. So at some point, yes, there will be a point where it's okay, now's the time. But until then, no, I can't see any sort of last straw because there are so many options. Going back in time, working directly with the artists I've built relationships with, doing all these new independent sets. There are just so many different ways to scratch the Marvel itch without succumbing to the FOMO of the current model.
Bravo. I like that. And here's one, another positive one. If you could bottle up one memory or feeling from your best collecting experience ever, what would it be?
Card focused or just broad?
Let's stick card focused.
Okay. Card focused. It would be easy to say the first sketch I pulled because that was a big memory. But I think I would say my experience opening MM16. And it was on EPEC. Was it on EPEC? No, it was the physical was first. That's right. And just seeing the tributes, first of all, seeing the new Just Go art. And I'm a little bit of a weird bird. A lot of people don't like the sketches in that set because they're homages. I love them for exactly that reason, because they show how someone's doing the different tribute to Joe. And those really, really appeal to me. So I collected that set hard. I really, really enjoyed that first MM set. So I think that was sort of the sweet spot for me of the UD era. Before that, it was probably one specific time where I had, maybe, do you remember, do you know what an archive box is from Rittenhouse?
Yeah, I had. Yeah.
I had, I opened a ton of them, but at one point I had 5 all at once, and I just opened them all sequentially and videoed it. And that was really my first attempt at making content too.
Okay.
And just posting it as a comment in the Facebook group. I wasn't on camera, but that's sort of what started some of that for me. So I'd say one of those two things.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I remember my first sketch pull. I remember the first stream I did with my son. So yeah, those. And I think it was with him that happened. For me, I think just we set up in the basement to do streams, and we were opening up Anime Volume 2.
Nice.
And we pulled a Spider-Man auto power level, and it was we were both like, first kind of time that ever happened. It was just like, the camera could have been shaking for all we know. It was just a great experience. So, yeah, I get it. Do you feel? I'm already gonna know the answer to this. Do you feel you would ever get an experience with that as Topps holding the Marvel license?
No, because I'm not going to participate like that. So there's no real opportunity. I think the closest I can get is if one of my friends participates and gets a big hit, I will be excited for them and live vicariously through that. But on a personal level, no, I don't see that.
Okay.
Favorite commission I've done so far and favorite artist story. My favorite commission is by Brian Atkins from Marvel Anime 1, and I posted it in Spidey Hits Discord not too long ago. He did Danny and the Demon Bear as the girl in Totoro from My Neighbor Totoro when they're waiting at the bus stop, and it just absolute favorite commission ever. Not even a close second.
Nice.
Favorite artist to work with? There have been a lot of them. I would say Marlo might be my favorite because I worked with him a lot.
Oh, yeah.
He is very, very hands-on and collaborative. He sends different sketch ideas and different poses. And I've gotten a lot from him. So he's probably, there's only one artist who I've ever commissioned more from. I've commissioned close to like 400 from one artist, but that was on the Lord of the Rings side. So
nice. I actually have a commission open with Marlo.
There you go.
Yeah. 5x7 premiere.
Nice.
Yeah, you already know who it's going to be.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will concur. He was a lot of fun to work with. He sent me.
But again, it's a tough question to say that because there are so many.
Yeah.
And the good news is, you're not going to, but if you were asking me the flip side, I can only name like 2 or 3 artists that I've ever had a bad experience with, which, given the number of people I've worked with, is a pretty good ratio.
Yeah, that's great. I'm excited to see what he finishes. I know he reached out and said he had some tight scheduling. So after he penciled it, he was going to send me information when he was done.
Yeah, he talked to me a little bit about the sets he's working on, and there are quite a few, but it's going to be awesome when they come out.
Yeah, that's a great little thing that we could talk about real quick is I've been seeing a lot of posts from artists that I love, artists that I'm new to, and they're posting sketches as sets release. And I love it. I'm happy for them working. I'm so excited that they're getting paid, that the Topps is keeping them busy. I am upset that there is no AP. But it's like, I don't think I'm going to obtain those sketches. So it's like, like you said, I won't, that'll be, all right, it's cool to see them post it. And then like that might happen 2 years after the set releases where I could obtain that sketch. It needs to be pulled, and then the climate needs to lower because it's way too hot. Like you said, as a 101, doesn't matter what character you're pulling or who you're PCing, it's pretty tough. Yeah,
I mean, putting 1 of 1 on a sketch card is just sort of like it's like Cocaine Bear, right? You just don't want to do it because people are just going to lose their minds.
Yeah.
Great movie, by the way, if you haven't seen it.
All right, guys. So in StreamYard, we have 12 entries for the giveaway for Ramble On. So make sure that you hit pound Ramble On. I'll run that giveaway in like about a minute. We'll just get through the catch up on the chat here. We're coming up on an hour and 10 minutes. So
while you're pulling that, I'll show Tony. This is another one I picked up. Lindsay.
Oh,
couldn't resist that one.
That's nice.
Spellcasters, yeah.
I like the use of color. I love when they do the outlines in a different color. Simone DeMeo does that. He did that on my sketch from OAX, and I like how it defines the background to the foreground.
What's great about these too is it's not Marvel, but it scratches that art. It's really well, because you just Tony, first of all, picks amazing artists to work with, but you can just tell they put such effort into it, and it really shines through.
Absolutely. Make sure you guys are showing Tony Perna Studios and Elaine love and picking up any of their sets that are coming out. Because
Halloween will be soon, right?
Oh yeah, I'm excited for the Halloween, man. I love me a cool jack-o'-lantern creature or something, you know, scarecrow character. But yeah, thanks guys. We're coming up on the end. I just want to do this giveaway for everybody. Still got 12 entries, so make sure everyone's entering to Ramble On, Ramble On. Let me do share screen. And yeah, appreciate this a lot that everyone came in and hanged out. If you couldn't make it, make sure you catch the replay. If you're a fan, make sure you hit that like, subscribe, notifications. This will be weekly, so there will be one next week at 9 p.m. Eastern. So make sure to follow my Instagram and for any updates. So let's see.
It wouldn't encourage me to buy into more sets. It would encourage me to continue to work with artists. But here's the problem. I think it would be a windfall for artists. But I think, for example, like if I'm used to commissioning an artist for 200, if they get an AP from Topps, they'd be crazy not to charge. If the regular cards are going for 1,500, they'd be crazy not to jack their rates to the roof, and they should, right? So it might be that the same collectors driving up the prices end up getting those, but I would be happy with that because the artist would be getting the money. Even if I couldn't get it for myself, I'd be thrilled for them. So
very well, very well said. Great point. It's all about the artist, man.
Yeah, because I'm just not a fan of flipping APs. Like when someone buys it and the next day it's on.
Correct.
Yeah. I'm like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
But the artists make money, so I keep my mouth shut.
All right, guys, I'm gonna run it in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good luck.
Good luck, everybody. I gotta find a card in case I win. It's like an 8% chance I will.
Aaron Johnson. Congratulations. Awesome. So you are getting 3 of the 616 promo cards. That will be Visible, a Yelena, the Vulture, and Icarus. I'll make myself big so you can see me.
Yeah, no, I agree, Blake. One of the things, it's funny, for my OCD brain, one of the ways I've gotten around this weird mental block I have on PSCs is by using either OAX blank stock, branded stock, or MentalCon branded stock, because then it's tied more towards something that I've participated in, so it feels more special to me. And again, nothing wrong with Miles custom stock. It's great. But for me, it's more, I think those two particular brands are a way around there. And if there's a way you can do that for you, like early on in Lord of the Rings, I made my own custom stock, and that helped. I would just send my own stuff out to the artist and say, hey, do something on this. And it was awesome.
I like that idea. That's actually a pretty cool idea. Make your own stock. I do love a good OAX stock, CAX.
Absolutely.
Do you think the layout will be different for 2026?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I know. It'll be a little bigger. Couple changes. Koster's just absolutely killing it with all the planning he's doing. So I think people are going to have an absolute blast. We've sort of ditched the whole concept of the villa, so now everyone's going to be at the hotel at the event, which I think is just going to make so much more sense. We're going to save so much time and energy.
Oh yeah. And so, Uber costs.
Oh my God, yeah. And hopefully less lost sneakers. Yeah.
Yeah, could have got another commission for all the Ubers I've got. It's crazy. But everyone, thank you so much for joining and watching episode 1 of Ramblings of a Middle-Aged Card Collector, Topps Marvel. Thank you to our guest, Matt Fuller, OCD Marvel Sketch Cards. I greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing
Thank you for having me.
Wisdom. So to all my friends, make sure you ramble on. Catch you on the next one.
See you guys.